oh, my lane's gankable, or get ready for a counter gank. Like, that's going to happen regardless of how passive your shot caller really is. Now, yes, if you tilt the guy in the bottom lane, if that lane gets crushed and he's got nothing to do and he's too worried to like CS and trade and can't watch the map, if the rest of your team isn't self-sufficient, then yes, you can really get rolled over there. It's going to be who else can really make plays and see what's going on.
Yeah, you got to give the shot caller status updates. You got to give the jungler status updates. This is what I need. He's backing. His flash is down, etc., etc. And see how that culminates here in this matchup between the two. Seeing some top lane bans already coming out, as well as jungler bans. So they want to lower the aggression and lower the late game impact of the top lane right now. Because Jack's off the table means we aren't going to have that split pusher and that person who can duel you post level 9 that you have to deal with. So they don't want to have to put their attention top.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it pans out now as the bans keep coming on through. Casted in the standard normal ban that no one's surprised about. The Nocturne Lee Sin bans are moving as well. And yeah, if they can keep the top lane from being a high impact champion, maybe that works for these guys. But interestingly, no bottom lane bans yet so far. And the really weird thing to me as well is how long these teams are taking with their bans, because you've known your matchup for like a week, 2 weeks in some cases, right?
But there's always contingencies. If they ban this, this is what we're banning in this order.
Yeah, even then though, like you should know your own champ pool and being like, you expect the bans coming out and you build like those branching tree decision diagrams.
Hey, Art of War. If you don't know what you're doing, neither does the opponent. So
great.
Just come in, just ban
I
random
will click
things.
random every time in champ select, and then no one can ban me out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
It's the ultimate strategy.
Pro advice from Zyrene. He's definitely got you guys on the lockdown.
How I play my games. I don't know what I'm doing, so they can't possibly know either.
And that's why your 4 dipping is below me in solo queue.
Exactly.
Well, Syndra first pick coming through for LOD for Team LoLPro. With 3 mid lane bans coming through already, and the first pick, Syndra, is very interesting to me.
Yeah, LOD, he's actually new to the mid lane. He was formerly the AD carry here.
Right.
They brought Hood Stomp in after NY Jackie was taken off, and LOD filled that void, moved up there from AD carry. He's only played Soraka so far, and since that was on 4.6 where Soraka was really strong with heal removing grievous wounds, Soraka is now on 4.8 with the nerfs to her star call, and also the fact with the healed nerfs being put in. So Syndra, I'm going to be able to see him on that. He's been playing a lot of Nidalee, he's been playing a lot of Lulu. Those are both banned out, and Ziggs as well as Syndra are his fallbacks.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good to see him on that, but a first pick that is pretty big.
It's Wolfclaw's most played, so they had this kind of planned out for a little while, is, you know, remove the bans of things he had played in competitive. Soraka, as you mentioned, got nerfed, so it's interesting gambit to go for the first pick steal, especially when it's still a new player to the role. So hopefully for their sake, LOD does well here. Chump John gets his 3rd Syndra game in a row. That's a big one. Pat, also the comfort pick onto Elise, despite there being 2 jungle bans, still got to pick one up, and that's also very strong.
Yeah, Chump John has only died twice on Shyvana, 2 games back-to-back with a very, very large KD. He had 22 in the last game that he played with her.
Yeah.
And he just rolled his top laner. I remember that where he had 2 or 3 levels up over his lane opponent and just crushed them, and that's where they created their advantage for shot calling.
Yeah, and you just kind of carry from there, and once you get the roams on down, you're going to be in a fun place. So, going to see if AoE can keep that one going. LoLPro going to look at their pickups here. Looks like Kha'Zix's jungle, as well as the Lucian AD carry here for Hood Stomp. Going to be happy to pick that champ back up.
Yeah, a lot of these are just going off of tier lists right now. Pat's like, I'm going to play Elise. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see Morgana come into the picture, because if Syndra gets hit by a binding, she's basically done for. And the Kha'Zix for Heaven Time.
You know what I'm surprised by, actually?
Yeah.
It's the fact they didn't grab a support pick right here.
Yeah.
Right, like you have the option to pick the best support left available, because mid laner got grabbed, jungler got banned, top laner got banned, or picked up so far, so they got Cream of the Crop AD carry, and they could have gotten any bottom lane they wanted, and chose to hold off on support to play reactively there.
Yeah, that's actually a good pick here, because they do end up going with their support for area of effect, and they go with the Nami, who we've seen that resurgence of very recently.
Yeah.
You know, the tides are coming in for her. Played a lot in OGN finals, as well as throughout a little bit of the ending of OGN there.
Yeah.
Picked up in Europe, picked up a lot in NA very recently, had Afromoo on the desk, and he's explaining why. With the nerfs to lifesteal quintessences, she's actually even better in lane. She's a bully.
Sustained supports go up.
And the fun thing here, too, is that it's Caitlyn. So as soon as Caitlyn goes in with the auto attack, you put Tidecaller Blessing on her while it's in transit, and then it will apply even when it hits.
Yes.
Even though the bolt left her. So it's good. If you're very reactionary with that, and I'm sure Elements is up to the task.
Well, and speaking of poke and sustain, you picked up Sony here for LOH, so to try to counteract that. That does mean LoLPro's bottom lane is pretty brawly here overall, but if they can make it work, it'll be fun. Of course, Ziggs comes through for a Wolf's Claw, gets that champion without too much contest here. So the lineups are there. Trundle versus Shyvana, of course, that's a pretty standard top lane counter pick, and they just wanted to make sure he'd work in the comp, and says okay.
We talked about how these teams are very similar in a lot of ways. Support shot callers, brawly top laners. Their team compositions are actually quite similar in terms of overall objective of what each champion wants to do for the team. The only real big difference here is the junglers, the ones with a little more CC oriented as compared to the pick oriented one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like 80 carries, supports, they're going to be doing pretty much the same thing. Their win conditions are the same throughout it. Top lane right now, brawly back and forth. It's going to be very interesting up there once Trundle reaches his power spikes with Subjugate and steals a bunch of Shyvana's stats from Dragonborn and all that.
Yeah.
So overall, they are very similar. Just out of champion select, I think they both played it very well.
Yeah.
And they both got what they wanted to some degree, despite the bans being a little scattered.
Yeah.
Taking out people's 1 or 2 top champions, then picking away from somebody else. I think they all came out pretty big in this.
It's going to be interesting to watch for. You know, you've got the Area Effect team who's very good at kiting back.
Yeah.
Right? Nami, Caitlyn, all this, like they can wave clear for days, they can wait around for a long time, and then, yeah, you land the CC and you're good to go in. So
yeah, that's actually a difference for sure, is that the supports, Elements has the support that can engage and disengage, whereas Sona's more of a all engage.
She's pretty engaging, yeah. So that'll be fun to watch for, and we'll see how those styles do stack up, then who can get early control. I think the bottom lane, I think it's going to be hard for either one to actually get a big lead in the bottom lane. We talk about the fact that, these are the shot callers the guys are going to look at a lot. These are the important players to watch for, and I think there's low kill pressure in that lane. Because you have 2 healers down there, you've got safe, disengageable 80 carries, you 90 caliber net, or the quick, or not quick draw, but Relentless Pursuit here for the Lucian. It generally gives that sort of comfort to allow these guys to say, okay, we're going to be safe, look around the map and make plays. Yeah,
and both bottom lanes have actually had stellar performances through the round of 20 and round of 10. Hoodstomp and Evan RL actually putting up pretty similar stats. Evan RL has only died once, whereas Hoodstomp has died twice. They're very, very close. Their champion pools are quite similar, with Lucian being the priority, you know, like all other 80 carries. But no Twitch picked up here, which is a little surprising. But Evan RL's play that.
Sure, yeah, so we just managed to let the one go through, and of course, props to the teams to realize that. You know, aim their bans the right way and not ban away things people don't play, because that would be useless. Monster, nice word right there, does get it killed.
10 gold to Elements, and a CS.
Yep, alright, well, he's rich. GG, gold lead too big, quit now. Trick it on cooldown, that's fine. Area of Effect do turn that one back around. Of course, there's now no way for LoLPro to know which way these guys went. They did bypass the ward in the front of their red buff, so AoE still playing in darkness.
So here's the thing, is that Elise starts with the pink ward. She doesn't need a lot of potions in her inventory because Spiderlings will take a majority of the damage, and the fact that you start Skittering Frenzy, Volatile Spiderling most of the time anyway, unless you're like doing an invade and you have Cocoon. But otherwise, that's extra vision control for them, extra objective control. And I actually like this, that they aren't showing themselves at the Golem until it's time to do the Golem, because they saw that ward go down.
This is weird though to me, because AoE, so like, yes, LoLPro saw that ward go down, but now they have no vision on the blue buff either. So they have no idea if they're face checking a brush right now in a 4v4.
Well, their ward expired very recently.
But it expired before late invade would happen.
Yeah.
They have no way of knowing people were there. They managed to not get caught, so they're going to have their buff safely, but that's still a risky play.
Yeah, it's very risky, but they're putting their eggs in that basket that you don't invade at that point, because you had already seen them retreat, and they couldn't see you. So if LoLPro was going for the blue later, even though they didn't see anybody with their ward, that's the play that was kind of like revolved around, tiptoed around.
Okay.
But I like that they didn't show themselves.
Yeah, that was definitely smart. Well, these guys are going to know the buff timers, though, and the starts for both these teams, but that's all right. LOD actually taking a lot of damage early on Wolf's Claw, already landing a number of bombs here and putting the health bar down. You got to be a little bit careful if you're Syndra. That one does get dodged away. Ziggs running magic resist glyphs to try to survive when Burst does come through here. You can see 42 MR on him. Speaks to that fact.
Yeah, both of these mid laners are actually quite squishy, and once they get at each other's throats, you get a displacement satchel charge. You just have it all in from LOD, who has brought the ignite. And now this bottom lane, though, a lot of pressure here and in the top lane.
They're trading rather aggressively.
Yeah, exactly. And Hoodstomp's actually coming out on top right now in terms of CS. He's shoved the wave in with the early level 2 for his team.
Shooting away from some of it. Ooh, Bubble lands on an LOH on top of a ward. Q hits as well. LOH is going to chuck that mana potion and keep his health bar up as best he can, but that is, these guys are definitely at each other's throats.
Yeah, a lot of action in this bottom lane. This is the source of communication. This is basically the brain of the operation, and they're trying to break the spine of each other.
I like that. Can't communicate with the rest of the body. If you do that one, Pat going to start the counter jungling right here. Looks like Kha'Zix's on the wrong side of the map to stop him, so that's the first camp going down on this one. Heaven Time making his way back around 3.5 on Kha'Zix. MEA ping towards the mid lane. They don't know where Ziggs just went, but all he did was ward the left side of the mid lane.
So the pink ward that already went down from Pat has already been cleared out. Just Pat now looping himself around, gets the golem, but now he's in the same spot as Heaven Time.
He's fairly safe.
Actually,
anyway,
coming around. They don't know this.
Oh, goes in. Nice cocoon there on a hood stomp. The bubble hits as well. He didn't flash it. A whole bunch of pain comes through. Burn the exhaust on top of that one, but the heal goes down. Good damage coming through.
So they trade it 1-for-1 in summoner spells, but Hood Stomp now has to chug his potion, and he's very, very damaged.
He's very susceptible.
Yeah, susceptible. I was gonna say risky, but it's very risky to stay around.
But if there were more wards from AoE, they could just rely on the fact they had the health bar lead and try for it. They don't in this case. Pat does put some damage in on Heaven Time, and Kha'Zix forces the elites out of the jungle, but that's 2 camps that got countered before he made his way through, so a decent lead to AoE for that one.
Yeah, and Pat, he loves to bully. He loves to be very aggressive. He loves to invade. I was talking with him earlier, and that's his style. He loves being all up in the enemy jungler's grill and causing them, dictating where they need to go. But it's completely different than what AoE's style is. They like to just try and win the lanes flat out, but that's not going to be enough when you're facing opponents that are equally skilled.
Yeah, true. You've got to make sure that you're not getting caught out and running on top of wards and whatnot. Looks like a nice little stun comes out there from Syndra. LOD firing back and keeping pretty equal in the minion game here as these guys chug through their potions. So mid lane pretty much a wash. Top lane fairly close. A 6 minion difference here between Hunter and Chump John. Both have recalled once so far. Hoodstomp once again pushed away. Good damage coming through back and forth, but LOH now out of mana. It's going to make that bottom lane tricky. Pat looks for a move to make here in the mid lane. No one sees him.
Well, he hasn't backed either, so if Heaven Time shows up at the same point.
Wow, he timed the trinket from LOD and stunned it right as he came in to put it down.
Yeah, so Heaven Time has more combat stats when he shows up at the same time. And there's kind of the difference there in terms of playstyle. Pat is very aggressive. He goes for the cocoons every time. And the fact that his teammates aren't in position to follow him up is something they need to coordinate on.
Yeah, that was
could have satchel charged him towards you and set that up if it was better communicated.
Exactly, that could have been a force flash pretty easily there. So nothing quite happened on that one, just some damage in the back off. Heaven Time will jump onto the ward for this one, level 4 here. He's going to go around. Evan pops the heal to keep elements running away quickly. It's going to still be that summoner spell burn for not much else. DeWolf's Claw going to take a whole bunch of damage. Ignite goes on as well. He's going to go down. LOD finds the solo kill.
No barrier popped either.
That's a mistake. He could have buried that and lived.
Neglects it. The Ignite came down and LOD comes up big with a solo kill in lane.
Yeah, that's big. That is really big for these guys. So LoLPro looking good now in this match. Hans are able to hold as well, so he's going to hold 1 or 2 minion lead on this one. I got to say, the game's starting to look very good for the blue team. Another gank attempt here for Heaven Time. Evan Arel going to be taking a bunch of damage. Nice net gets away from that one. And his health bar is going down, but eSports out of mana.
Yeah, this bottom lane has yet to back for either side, and the fact they got Hoodstomp so low has pushed jungle pressure into that area. And now Pat clearing out this ward for himself and going for the counter jungle here, whether it's Wraith, but red is also up.
Well, there we go. It's going to be Wraith stolen. Level 5 now on the Elise. There's the buffs coming up as well. Heaven Time is a level down, but there's no smite for Elise. He's not even going to try to take this one away. Of course, remember, his bot lane had to recall back. At least this is the support did. It was a pretty safe camp here, and the smite should secure the red buff.
Ooh.
He's all right.
If he had come up at all, if Pat had come up at all there.
True.
And there wasn't a ward in that area. So you saw Pat look like he wanted to go. There may have been a call to back off because the bottom lane was weak.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make that play. Like, odds are that play backfires.
Yes.
In this case, it would have been the right one, but that's a risky move to go for.
You could see Pat. He wanted to. He had set up for you. He cleared the ward. Oh, man. Didn't come up big for him, but he's going to start the dragon and pull his lane there.
Well, he got the pink ward down. They spotted what they needed to. I mean, they timed this off of LoLPro recalling back, and actually the Kha'Zix did as well, so there's no contest whatsoever. all that these guys can see is that AoE left their lane briefly. And the thing is, Caitlin's going to recall back for a BF sword. They don't necessarily even know it, except for the fact that Ziggs comes in very obviously. And at this point, they got to have the rough timer on Dragon.
Yeah, if they have any sense of the game, they'll just be like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, that was Dragon.
That's fine. Chump John back and gets it interrupted.
All right.
Extra 8 seconds on that one.
Buys himself a few more seconds on this one, which does mean that Chump John will miss a few CS. Actually, he's going to stick around and gain XP, so no recalls just yet. Afraid of getting all in under the turret, just maybe.
Actually, he just walks all the way back.
Yeah, he was afraid of trying to all in with ulti.
Yeah. So Heaven Time's actually level 6 because he was able to continue farming up his jungle while the dragon was being done by Pat. Pat still has a buff to clear for himself, so he will be hitting level 6 very shortly, but Elise's level 6 power spike is nothing in comparison to Cosmic's. Now Heaven Time has his ultimate, he has his major ganking tool in the early game. He'll be able to close this distance on the people like the Wolf's Claw, who is kind of immobile if he can get in front of him.
We'll see if they can make that one happen then. More harassments bottom lane. This guy's actually trading minions pretty much equally there. BF Sword, both AD carries. The support's grabbing their Sight Stone as well. So that's a complete wash in this match right now. All that's really happened in this game is the first blood in the mid lane, which went very, very well for LoLPro to get that one going. Wow, the damage coming into Caitlyn as well, forced to net backwards. That is an exhaust burned by Elements to keep him safe.
Yeah, and Evan RL is about half HP right now, but of course, the sustain from Nami, the ebb and flow is going to keep her in tip-top shape. But now both junglers are top lane now. Both junglers have been roaming around, having some little skirmishes with each other, but now they're trying to get in on the action here.
More damage coming in towards Wolf's Claw. This Syndra pick is actually super working out. The flash engage, gonna hit up on Caitlyn, a good amount of damage. Tidal's gonna knock them both back though. Hoodstomp also knocked up, and he burned his ulti on that one as well.
Didn't even
Way
get shot.
more lost by LoLPro.
Not a single shot of the culling came out of that. You heard Lucian.
Ashes to nothing.
Oh, nope.
And the top turret though, Hanzo taking big damage. Force a flash spinner trying to disengage. There's the Elise repel as well. The pillar on the wrong side, actually might be the right side. Forcing Chump John around. Heaven has got to be careful. Force a flash away as well. Lot burned now by LoLPro.
And they come out really big on that for AoE because now they'll get turret damage. They'll be able to clear these waves out. Hanser does have his teleport, so if they allow him to back, he'll be able to come up there. Maybe
I don't know if you want to do that 1v2.
Doesn't want to. Doesn't want to end up going up there and
not a chance.
Just dying immediately.
So it does mean the turret there for AoE. Nice plays there for Pat to show up despite the 2-on-2 under the turret. Went Summoner Spell positive, burned 2 flashes for 1, plus dealt more damage. I gotta say, commendable play there.
Yeah, and now that frees up Chump John to clear waves, invade the jungle, put pressure onto Heaven Time even more, which is what Pat wants to do. They can start roaming mid from really odd angles coming in from behind the turret and just setting up kills onto LOD.
Yeah, this is incredibly impressive. You talk about putting pressure on Heaven Time. You've got a 15 minion difference between Pat and Heaven Time as well, and that's with like things like the Big Wraith being taken and 3 of them still around for the Kazus to grab. So that minion lead even lies to you, and it's even worse than you think sometimes. But we're going to see as they keep buying up for themselves. Evan RL going to put some pressure on this bottom lane. The recall for the Vamp Scepter came through for Hoodstomp. Of course, with all the health they lost and whatnot, it's going to be the recall force for them, and you're seeing this bot lane actually just slightly going in AoE's favor.
Yeah, Evan RL instead opts for the Berserker's Greaves.
I like that
extra attack speed so he can go ahead and get his headshots more often and chunk the turret down faster.
Yeah, the really big thing with Berserker's Caitlyn as well is that you've got 45 move speed over your opponents, which lets you guarantee the range lead, especially when you've got like a slow from Nami and things like you are guaranteed to be getting free attacks that your opponents can't react to without burning a move block. Look how far back Hoodstomp has to play. He's shooting from very much max range. And he's got to respect. There we go. Right, there's the attempt. He can fire back, but this is like not a good trade for Hoodstomp.
Look at that.
Until you take a power chord Q from Sona. It's the only way you trade well.
Oh, he used his E to go in.
He's got a counter gank ready.
Yeah.
Oh man, another catch from Pat though. LOD half HP. He's got to be careful. Nice repel. Dodges everything there. Gets the W on the backside, and out he goes.
The ward came down. Heaven Time's in that area. The Dragon's not up for another minute and 30. They're just clearing it out, grouping on it, getting the vision control. But now it looks like they're converging down bottom. But there isn't a lot of vision here in AoE's own jungle.
Well, LoLPro put the ward on the tri-brush to see if someone's waiting around. 1 minute 15 until Dragon's a bit early to show up for this one maybe, but they can sweep wards away and get ready for the blue buff. Looks to be the attempt there. Teleports for both top laners, means it could be a 5-on-5. Ziggs, though, is separated. Nice move there by Suna to get the steal, and the smite comes through. Heaven Time grabs it. Nicely played, LoLPro.
It got jacked.
Yep.
Straight over the wall from Syndra.
Very nicely done. I like that a lot.
AoE doesn't.
No. But you know what? Yeah, they lost their blue buff. Of course they wouldn't. Good one, right, Freak? Yeah, that was good.
I saw the wheels turning.
Yeah, but they were just spinning in the mud.
Hopefully you have enough horsepower to eventually get it out. Maybe somebody gives you a little tow.
You need traction, not horsepower.
Yeah, that's true.
Hope the mud dries. Get a hair dryer, turn it into dirt, and you can drive away. That'd be really inefficient.
Yeah.
Well, Pat's standing on top of a ward. Actually, the thing is, he theoretically could know that ward went down because the ward from LoLPro came down on top of ward already. Seems like he doesn't really know about that one, though, so he's just kind of waiting. The wing's not going to find anything. Blue buff going to go over to LOD. Of course, Heaven Time smited away the last one, but they donate this one to the Syndra, who's having a pretty good game. Athene's Boots, Doran's Ring.
Dragon's up right now, and Heaven Time is backing, so it's going to be a free Dragon over to AoE.
Wow, nicely played by these guys. They got the bottom lane shove going in. LoLPro actually recalled back for their Bloodthirster here in the AD carry. Missed Pillar, but that's okay. So Area of Effect, one more time, finding global gold. They got that top lane turret as well. They finally get one traded back, though. Hanser capitalizing well there. But it's individual advantages for LoLPro versus team advantages for AoE.
Yeah, which is not really AoE's style. Typically, they just want to beat their lane opponent. They're going even right now in most lanes, except for mid. And top lane is actually just going to outscale because it's Trundle, who doesn't really outscale you. He descales you if he uses ultimate on you.
Yeah. Shyvana without scales does just not sound like a very attractive
champion.
champion.
Takes a knife to her, descales her.
Just makes dragon scale armor, and Hanser's going to have the best end game items in the game. So here we go. Bailey catches that ward with the sweeper. Heaven Time continuing to remove vision from the map. Looks like they do want to group mid now that the two side outer turrets are gone. But we'll see how well they can siege against Ziggs Caitlyn. Good luck with that.
Yeah. And so far, it's pretty much just been objective control for AoE. And like you said, little advantages here for LoLPro in the lanes, as well as the turret down bottom. But now they're sieging up the mid because they have just this outer turret remaining.
Well, they got 2 attacks from Sona onto it, but that was pretty much it here. Caitlyn's still able to split push the bottom lane, just catching up farm for now because Ziggs with Nami can actually hold pretty well. Hanser still not having the best time against Chump John. He's a level down right now, actually, thanks to the earlier gank by Pat. There's no turret here either, so Chump John continuing to get damage down on his opposition.
Heaven Time started to make his way up top. Saw that one coming, but Ziggs, he doesn't have a blue buff. His blue buff was stolen away, so he has basically a limited amount of time that he can clear this wave if they keep pushing into him and harassing. But yeah, you're absolutely right that it's extremely hard to siege against this type of team.
So how long will the wheels spin then for LoLPro? 2 waves in so far, nothing gained. Wave number 3 coming up. And it's going to be the recall for Cinder to grab some new items. Needlessly large rod. I don't know why I was about to say Negatron Cloak there. That was not even close.
They both start with ends?
Yep, and they deal with magic.
Yep.
So that was my brain, basically. But BT stacking up. Hoodstomp going back to the bottom lane to hold the lane that the Caitlyn was pushing. He's actually still holding up a 13 minion lead. Not too shabby there. Evernorel catching up maybe half that on this wave. And I want to see where the moves go, because this is where the lanes break down, and it's the first test of a shot caller. Look, you're in equal footing. This game is winnable for both teams. How do you guarantee it's your team? What moves do you make? What choices do you make that gives you this game?
Yeah, if you end up making one bad call, you can flip the entire game on its head,
yes,
and then you're calling from behind. And if the other guy's decent, he can just completely do what he's still doing. So it's on you to adjust at that point.
Yes, it is.
Right now, the next calls coming out from LOH and Elements. See if the lotations come in. They're trying to get mid.
Nah, they're not going to.
It's not going to happen.
The way you get mid against Ziggs is you basically allow a dive. You get the rest of the waves pushed in, then collapse while they're holding top and bottom wave, and just be like, Ziggs, you can only touch charge one way. You either jump into a Kha'Zix or into a Trundle or into a Lucian, and then you die. And once you set up that dive with like a Flash Sona ulti into Centaur or whatever, then he's gone, you can take the turret. But going to Siege is not the right call.
There's actually more cards here for AoE in terms of that. They can siege up turrets and slowly chop them down. LOD and the engage is what they have to worry about in that portion, though.
Yes.
They do have the disengage with the tidal wave, though. But now they're trying to turn it around.
All right, now the mid lane is under fire, and really there's no one there for LoLPro to stop this. So look at this, Elements getting the team together down to the mid lane, and a lot of damage comes through in the turret. Some burst comes back out. There's the flash crescendo. Only as the Shyvana, but she's taking so much damage that she goes down. It's a 1-for-1 so far. LOH forced back. One more hit, and he goes down. 2-for-1 so far. Hanser in the back line. He's actually staying safe, though. Hoodstomp goes in for Evan RL. Can't quite find it. There's the culling. There's the Zigzaldy, though. Big damage coming through, and LoLPro forced right away. No health bars left, but this is not necessarily going to be good for the Elise. He flashes, and it's going to be another kill picked up. So look at that one. Looks like 3-1 for LoLPro.
And the Hoodstomp actually came in very late, and they end up going, I think,
3-2 AoE's favor.
Okay.
3 dead for LoLPro is what I meant.
That's right. Crescendo only hit 1 there. It's a good repel by Pat, but this entire time they're getting flanked by Hanser, who ended up teleporting in behind, and Hoodstomp is off on the right. He hasn't done anything yet until now. And he goes straight for Evan RL. He wants to get that damage dealer off the field. He at least just gets him back. It's a good bomb for the disengage. And Pat here, it looked like he was actually going to come up with the kill. Gets shoved off to the side, though.
Yeah.
By the Scat of the Week.
So they managed to pick up 2 on that fight, and it's very well done on them. I am surprised by how little Hanser actually got from that flank, though. It seemed like such a good positioning, and they'd already started the fight out with a kill, but
a lot of it's because Hoodstomp wasn't there, and you pinch them with multiple threats.
Yeah.
If you stagger your threats, it's like Trundle's in our team, but we don't have to worry about anybody, so let's focus on him right now. He ends up going down and blowing his flash.
Well, but with the recalls and everything else, the mid turret does finally go down, so LoLPro find a way in, and it's when blue buff goes over. It looks like actually Pat managed to grab the blue buff on that one, so it doesn't even go to Wolf's Claw, which is again, a hardship here. Chump John, he's going to try to start the blue, but he's on top of a ward, and he's alone, and this one just gets jumped on right there. Big burst comes through. 200W will keep the blue buff for herself, and it's going to be Shyvana, rather, just walking away. So,
Cinder walks away too, this time with the blue buff.
Yeah, well, she floats away. She actually never has to walk in this game. Good push back in the mid lane. Both teams, actually, guys, go for blue buff, and because they've got to react to that one.
They're so similar.
Yeah, Chump John actually earned them the turret, because they had to go for him, and the team pushed down mid lane. So that was really well done.
Yeah, their styles are so similar. There they go, straight on LOH.
Down he goes, walked by a ward, didn't even know it, and there went all the CC. So the push gonna continue in there. Heaven Time, half HP. Good disengage, Cinder forcing them away, but still the 1-for-0 AoE. Now looking better by 3,000 gold.
And they're about to get a dragon off of that too, because there's no ward coverage here in favor of LoLPro. AoE set up for it long ago with all these pink wards down the entire river.
Very well done there. Uncontested dragons every single time it's grown these guys.
Look at how many pink wards they have in their inventory still.
Yep, another 3.
They are just waiting for their pink wards to be found by LoLPro, and then they'll just put another down.
Working incredibly well right now. So Area of Effect completely winning the vision game on this one. And now they're going to look now for the mid lane. LOD, good damage and elements. Nami's got to be a bit careful. Has some MR thanks to the Chalice. But you're seeing these guys continue to clear the waves away. And there's no push for AoE.
So here's the difference, is that the teams are so similar with the Bruiser top style. Their team compositions are kind of similar. The big difference is the vision game here, that AoE is playing much better than LoLPro. You can do more with more information. It's basically what it comes down to. And if the teams are so similar, you're like, oh, but I have this move available to me because I know where this guy is.
Yeah.
So on the overall, though, AoE, they have this edge because of the way that they're playing.
And they're playing it right, that's for sure. But you got Dignitas #1 right now, and their jungler buys 1,000,000 wards a game. You've got green wards, pink wards in the mid lane, as well as the jungler here for AoE, so I really can't hate on what these guys are doing as a team. They're playing it right so far. Pat looking for a pick on the wings. Will not go for Cocoon here. No engage happening just yet. Shyvana, Chump John going back to the top lane there to hold for a little while. The siege, though, for LoLPro, can they get it? Ziggs bombs come out, and they're not even going to try to look at the turret. They do ping the bottom lane, though, and here they go.
Lotations.
Lotations, indeed.
They had that big wave down bottom that's starting to push.
The problem is their damage on turrets right now is going to be pretty low, so out of it's going to be a very good tation. Whatever. That was bad.
Come on, freak.
There we go. Zigzaldy goes in, and minion waves reduced to nothing. Wolf's Claw, though, in a bad spot. Crescendo hits not, actually. Barrier comes out. He's going to stay alive. Heaven Time's got to be a bit careful. Here comes Pat in the wings. The fight has begun. Nice pillars. Stops Chump John in his tracks, though. So no Shyvana engage, and LoLPro can back away.
You could see there, the ward came over right on top of the Wolf's Claw, and he wasn't moving because he was looking bottom to throw out his Mega Inferno Bomb. They immediately engage on him, and as they engage in, they get collapsed around, but they come out on top for LoLPro because they get a turret.
Excellent right there. Enough damage comes in. Of course, they own the right side of the map after that one, so in they go with the first tier 2 turret of the game, actually. So very nicely done by these guys to get turret kills up against the Ziggs.
Yeah, and they have to back too. There's this large wave, tier 2 on their top lane. That's going to leave AoE to set up again. They lost map control in the vision game. They got to reset up for that. They're definitely in a great position too. They have the wards available, both pink and green. So I guess stealth and vision.
Yep. Well, it's working quite nicely. So here's the weird thing though, is LoLPro, right, we talk about sort of, getting wards and whatnot. LoLPro still has a bunch of like wards in inventory. Like their AD carry still has room in his inventory as well, and they're not holding nearly as many wards here. Whereas AoE have tried much harder to keep vision control, and everyone's contributing. You're having much less cross-team contribution from LoLPro in that regard.
Yeah, that's true. They aren't contributing as much across the board. They do have some pink wards now.
They got some, right? But like
a lot of potions in their inventory in comparison.
Yeah. I'm talking to Crepo actually before LCS actually started, and he was like, yeah, it's really annoying if like you have an AD carry who's like at 5 items, and one of those items is still like a Doran's Blade, and you're like, just sell the Doran's Blade and buy a stack of green wards. Like, you'd be worth so much more than 8 AD and 80 health if you just got some vision down.
Look at all the HP that Hauntzer's getting.
Yeah. Because
he steals a percentage of Chump John's with Subjugate, but Chump John has a lot of HP with the Sunfire Cape and the Giant Spell.
Yeah, he's a big dude. It's going to be, and with no MR, yeah, it's going to be a whole bunch stolen. So, again, the wave clear from Ziggs. Sieges, they're not going to work. LoLPro, you've got to get the damage down and own a side of the map before you go for this one. It does, however, keep the team honest to the mid lane and allows them to walk right down for the blue buff. They've got 2 minutes till Dragon. If they wanted to set up wards right now, they could. If they can dodge the sweepers. But look at this. Area of effect going back down to the mid lane here. They've got 10 seconds till the minion wave comes in. They'll get some damage here, but LoLPro's coming.
Chump John's going to take some damage right now.
Oh, wow. They completely zoned them out.
No LOD, though.
They didn't even try coming in time. That was well earned by the minefield.
Yeah, really good explosive minefield there to just keep them out of the fight. And a big thing here is that AoE, they have more gold, but LoLPro has some of the deeper turrets down. We just saw that middle tier 2 go down. But it's always difficult. You have to get the vision game.
Can LoLPro get in, though? They're trying. There we go. Some damage into Pat. Spiderlings take a bit of it.
One went down.
Yeah.
Extra 5 gold.
5 gold. There we go.
But
more stats.
Team fight overall in favor of LoLPro.
Yeah.
But in that vein, though, LoLPro would actually, right now, in terms of combat stats, not come out on top. They'd have to start.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing found.
Thought there might have been more people, but only gets one.
Evantime's going to be a bit careful. So does Pat, though. The CC comes out from LOD. He's got nowhere to go. Could they get the damage they need? They're not going to go for it. Mikhail's burned by elements. A little premature, but wanted to make sure his teammate was safe.
Gotta keep him safe.
Yeah, but
if he went down, you would give up a lot at this point in the game.
Sure.
20 seconds on Dragon, and if he was able to ultimate your jungler, you get him down to the point where he can't really contest.
Yeah.
So they're gonna try to ebb and flow, get him as much HP as possible. And now here's the thing, that AoE has multiple options. They don't have to go for the Dragon.
It's not even up yet anyway.
They can go straight for this middle inhibitor turret and just zone them off.
And yeah, they're going to try for this one. It's going to be AoE pushing in. LoLPro forced to go the long way around. They're actually going to go for the flank. They're going to try anyway. The turret's going to go down, but now the fight, the bubble hits LOH. He's going to get jumped on. He's going to go down right away. No crescendo used at all. And now 2 guys in the back line. How much damage can they deal? Hauntzer's still trying to take down Wolf's Claw. Flashes over after forcing the barrier. Heaventime's going to be careful. Almost out of mana, but Pat takes a bunch of pain, forced to flash away as well. It's, however, still been the 1-for-0. AoE trying to run away with their turret and kill lead, and they're allowed to leave.
No Nami ultimate either was available there. So they actually disengage that with just a really good bubble and the fact that they're able to peel off. Chump John makes it out with a sliver of HP because he goes off to the right, he takes a beating. We're going to follow him all the way through here. Hoodstomp is on him. Hoodstomp is not in the left part of the fight, and LOD uses the ultimate. He gets out with just a tiny bit left. The Ignite does not finish him off.
Yeah. There's miscommunication right there, though, because Hoodstomp was coming down from the bottom tier 2 turret. He was going for the minions when the rest of the team was going to actually try to stop the inhibitor going down. So either someone missed the call or he didn't hear it or someone didn't tell him. But that would have been the Shyvana kill and maybe some cleanup if he had been there 2 seconds earlier.
Just those moments of hesitation or the moments of miscommunication really cost you when a team is on their game in terms of what they know they want to do.
Yep. It's the only reason AoE got away with no kills. Hoodstomp wasn't there to start the fight.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But Hoodstomp, he is doing a good job for his team. He does have high CS, but at this point in the game, it's not about your CS.
Yeah.
As soon as you get those items and those core items, just stay on par with your opponent and start showing up to the fights. You can see the kill contribution here for him is really low in comparison to Evan RL.
I mean, he's an item behind Evan RL. Well, half an item now. He's finished Trinity Force finally, but Last Whisper is almost done for this Caitlyn. She's gonna pretty much do more than Lucian in a team fight once she gets that combined there. So you've got a lopsided bottom lane contribution. Outside of the picks that LOD is getting, I gotta say, like, he's actually doing really well for himself. The Void Staff now in there as well will continue to be a giant threat, but Haunter is getting to the back line, but nothing's happening when he gets there. You know, the front line of AoE isn't really dying, so until that happens, you've got kind of no concern on the team fight of AoE.
Yeah, and LOH actually has a Crystalline Flask in his inventory. He knows he's gonna take a beating from bombs in some way, shape, or form.
Interesting.
And he's going to just continue to pop that. He does have Distortion already on his boots, but he's very behind Elements in terms of items.
Well, Heaven's going to take the ulti there. Looks like they'll get ready to fight pretty soon. No armor whatsoever on Heaven time. He's got to be afraid of Evan RL's damage output. Nice CC, hits 2 people. And the push in for the inhibitor. Evan RL goes down to half HP. Trundle, split push to the top, but he's going to teleport in.
Pat doesn't have flash.
Uh-oh, he's got to be careful. He goes in. This fight's going to start right here. 5-on-5. Pat gets in there, and that's a kill picked up. Nice crescendo hits a large number of them. 2 for 1 so far. LoLPro backing out now on a 4v3. AoE actually staying, but the stun hits Evan RL. The flash in. Hoodstomp's got to be careful. Big damage comes through. They've got to back out of this one. LoLPro now with 4 strong. The heals coming in from Sona. Looks like they're going to be okay. CC not quite going to hit Elements here.
It's a good mechanics to keep Evan RL safe. Would have gone down surely at that point.
Keeping him just safe then.
They actually end up getting a turret there in the top lane because Hauntzer was continuing to push and push, and he TPs into the fight. And Pat didn't have a flash to get out, which was really big. He put himself at risk, and then his team had to come in to back him up instead of just sacrificing him. And they go 2 for 1.
And look at the snap decision making by LoLPro right here. They realize, like, hey, you know what? We can at least get down to this blue buff here, and they burst that one down. LOD grabs it, but they knew they had the numbers lead on the map. They didn't mind walking through a minefield and said, all right, something to grab here. And now they should be able to recall in time, get their health bars, their mana bars, their items back up, and be ready for a Baron contest or anything else in the map that AoE tries.
Yeah, and Evan RL is actually doing really well for himself. As soon as he completes the last Whisper,
there it is.
Right, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Haunter doesn't have an armor item yet. He has HP, he has magic resistance, he does have the Ninja Tabi, so he's able to absorb a tiny bit of the damage, but he is their front line. Whereas we see the mixed resistances here from Chump John. Chump John's going to last a little bit longer in the fights unless Haunter subjugates him. Whereas last fight, Haunter wasn't even close to where Chump John was. So didn't even have that option.
Well, we're going to see if he can be the front line that his team needs right now because LoLPro have caught up a little bit in gold and they should be able to really fight on even ground right now. Blue Elixir grab for LOD. He's looking for the power spike here. Looks like Baron starting to be on the table for these guys. Who can control the vision better? 1 sight zone per team. Looks like still more wards in the inventory of area of effect. They might just control the vision game a whole lot better here. They got some pick wards down. But look at this, the mid lane now going to be available unless Ziggs can wave clear that. No ulti up there. Hoodstomp going to get some really good damage down to the turret if Haunter can join up in time to push them away. Look at that AoE. Will they come through the small choke right here? They've got to be careful of the Syndra, the Sona AoE. They are allowed to go in.
That's a really bad place to fight because you're in a choke point and your opponents aren't.
Yeah.
Basically, you're going
to get a crescendo.
Exactly. You don't put yourself at the same risk as the person who's in the choke point. Whereas if you fight in the jungle, usually you're both in the same situation.
Some good damage goes down onto Heaven time. Here's the push again for round 2 there. Hoodstomp getting some decent damage, but he got turret aggro. He's forced to back away from that one. Looks like area of effect hold their turret. One more wave here, but that thing got chunked.
Yeah, a lot of wards over by that Baron area too. So AoE could actually rotate there if the fight allows them to, permits them to. But look at that. Caught in rotation here. Pattis has got to burn his flash.
All right, good flash. The lantern, or not lantern, sorry, the pillar almost stopped it from getting into range in time. They could have gotten some damage there, but as soon as the flash comes back up, Pat's forced to lose it again. Ulti comes in from Ziggs, but that's not going to be enough. The turret does go down. Good siege there from LoLPro, rather. Again, blue buff not onto Wolf's Claw. It's been largely stolen by the team. And now can they get wards over Baron?
They're going to be able to deny the pink ward coverage here from AoE, which is just as good if they check the bushes.
Well, the ward battle, stun goes on to LOH. Heaven Time's around, though. Pat is forced to run away, could not quite kill the Trinket ward. LoLPro don't even check that brush, though, and a ward still stands over the Baron pit. Another one to the north side as well. That's going to keep Area of Effect reasonably informed.
It's the tiptoeing here. Despite the teams being 3,000 gold apart and AoE does have the lead, the fact that the compositions are very similar, but LOD has a little more burst, for sure, to pick somebody else off.
Oh, yeah.
You can't face check bushes. As soon as LoLPro creates an area where they could make a pick with, it could be Trundle, could be Kha'Zix plus Syndra, which is extremely effective at bursting somebody down. You gotta be very worried. Like right now, they can't even face check this dragon. You cannot go into that area. It's way too risky.
So the ping's going towards Baron because honestly, AoE don't know which side of the map the team's necessarily on. They run over towards Baron, realize that wasn't the goal. It was actually Dragon going down. But it does allow AoE to wrest ward control over this area. LOH is going to take some damage. He'll be okay, but it's still going to take some time for him to heal up.
That's what the Crystalline Flask is for.
Yeah.
Taking the ace in the holes.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, if you can face tank him, it's fine. He's able to just heal himself up and be all good. So they get themselves ward control and ward dominance back in that area, and now it's a 2,000 gold difference between these two teams.
Okay, so LoLPro have fought back for quite a while. They've actually built themselves a gold lead, and Pat plus FNRL can actually start the Baron up here. They actually wrested ward control from the Dragon attempt.
Inspired by CLG.
Yeah, well, right now LoLPro doesn't see them. They're walking forward ever so slowly. Hoodstomp is going to see this is happening and say, guys, Baron's real low, pops the ulti down. Who's going to be able to take this one up? Very, very low on health, and Pat is going to grab it. There comes the engage. Heaven Time going to drop down, though. 1 for 0 so far. Hanser forced everyone away on the backline. Chubjon losing a lot of health. He will nearly fall, but doesn't go down. Crescendo can help, but he's in a brush. He actually doesn't take any damage at all, and Trundle falls over. Nami goes down as well, finally, but it's 3 for 1 so far. The cleanup happening. Hoodstomp can't get anywhere because of the Wolf's Claw, and look at that. 4 to 1 plus the Baron for AoE.
The unseen Baron is the deadliest. We saw it earlier today with CLG. You check it a little too late, your team goes into panic mode because they aren't in position for it.
Nope.
They staggered themselves in there. You're going to see it again right here. Hoodstomp comes in. Hanser runs straight up, and he's like, oh, it is incredibly low. Heaven Time jumps in, tries to get the steal there, and he flashed for that too, and he doesn't get it at all. They end up blowing a lot on Chubjon here, and you're going to see he ducks into this bush, but you can't do anything to him because he's invisible.
Yep.
Goes around the side, and the regen there from the ebb and flow is going to be able to keep him in good shape.
He healed up quite nicely throughout that fight, so I gotta say, very...
Rune King.
Yep. Did a lot of stuff in that one. So Area of Effect looking much better now. Recalls come out from everybody. They're gonna make sure they can grab their items. And with their 6,000 gold lead plus Baron, this could be the push they look to end the game with.
Yeah, FNRL is coming up big this game. He's 3-0-5 alongside Elements who's 1-1-8. This bottom lane definitely went in their favor when they started grouping up and being a part of these fights, whereas Hoodstomp and LOH not coming up as big. The CS that Hoodstomp wanted, he wants to carry the game with, it's just not pulling it for him right now.
Yeah.
And the shot calling and the overall here is a little sneakier and a little trickier for Elements.
Yeah, the tricky moves by AoE definitely worked very well for them.
The vision control,
yes,
too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's how they got Baron, was just, even though they had just lost Baron pit control, they had enough wards and inventory and enough sweepers to just go right back and take it back over. It's excellent.
It was a big thing, too, because LoLPro went for Dragon, went for that objective, because Baron was a little too risky. Then they went straight towards the Baron, but AoE was already there, wrestled ward control back in their favor, and LoLPro was kind of like, okay, they're not going to do it just yet. And then it's like, wait, it's been 15 seconds, we haven't seen, we got to go check it.
Yep.
As soon as they check it, it's too late.
The team's already got a Blade of the Rune King plus an Elise. Like, that's going to go down pretty quickly. You're seeing Infinity Edge, the makings of for FNRL. He'll be there before too long. The inhibitor line looks like that's going to be available. Of course, mid-inhib already dead, so AoE can use that to create more pressure to keep this push going. See how well that works. Still no armor items for Heaven Time, though. That, to me, is a really big risk there. He actually rushed the Maw of Melmortius, which is more of a damage item. Like, going from Extra to Maw is not that much more durability, so he's going to be a very squishy dude. It's kind of a lot on Hanser here. And as you see with 2 deaths there on him, he's not that tanky. Big damage coming through. FNRL nearly bringing down the inhibitor turret. One more wave and it would fall here. Maybe they just face take it anyway. Now they got to be a little bit more careful. LOD looks for the attempt, but takes big damage that goes in.
They're going to walk straight up and try to take it right now. That's the way that they're positioning. See Pat taking some shots. Evan gets stunned up.
There we go. It's going to be the blue turret going down in the bottom lane. Still going very well for AoE on this siege attempt. More CZ coming out. There's the tidal wave. They're just going in for the inhibitor, but Heaventime wants in. Can they find the damage? Shields popped everywhere. Malva Mortis, he does get away just barely, but no health left on him. Inhibitor does go down, stunning a Pat. He's going to take a bunch of bursts, and down he goes to the Syndra ulti. AoE going to back away, losing a member, but getting the bottom inhibitor.
Meanwhile, top lane, Hauntzer has been taken so low by Chump John. And this is, once again, Chump John 2 levels up over his lane opponent. The Subjugate's going to completely turn this fight around, though.
Wow, a lot of stats going back over. How's this fight going to keep going? Chump John looks like he's going to want to fight this one anyway.
Oh,
but there comes the Cosmic. He's got to be careful. The Flash not available. Burnout dealing some good damage. The Trophy only slowing so much at lower ranks.
Oh,
there's the Ziggs turn. Heaventime loses all his health bar with the Moss Shield down. And now Hauntzer's got to be really careful. Hey, we don't take this turret down on him with it.
And Chump John's like, that's not how you 1v1. And then makes it a 2v2.
Yeah.
Wolf's Claw.
Throwing it back around for the tag team. So now the team can hold and wait for them to group back up for this top lane push. It is a 4-on-4 with Pat respawning in 5 seconds, but looks like they'd rather spend gold first.
They do have a lot of gold to spend at this point.
Yeah.
Don't know how many pink wards they're going to be able to pick up as they're approaching full builds here.
They won't need many anyway.
Yeah, it's true. They're going to be pushing up into enemy territory constantly. If they aren't up in there, then they're not closing the game out.
Evan Orel bought himself a blue elixir.
Yeah.
Mage Caitlyn. Those traps going to hurt a lot.
Cooldown reduction?
Yeah.
Or his ultimate as well as his Piltover Peacemaker.
Thing is, getting a
he
lot
popped
of...
it.
Yeah. I don't know if you need to really burn it that early. It won't really matter. I expect they'll win in the next 2.5 minutes regardless. But so I think he couldn't afford the red elixir, is my guess. We wanted to get some immediate combat stats. I'm really guessing it's a current gold thing. But yeah, 10 CDR on Caitlyn is not the worst thing in the world. More traps, more nets backwards. Like, she's actually a pretty ability-based AD carry. So I don't immediately hate it.
You'll hate it later. Just not immediately.
No, I mean, in this context, it makes 100% sense.
Yes. Yes, it
It's a very specific context, but in this one, it does make sense.
This team's probably like, why didn't you get pink wards? What are you doing? No.
Yeah, theoretically, yeah, that actually might mean more. In this context, I do hate it. Should have gone a pink ward. I take it back.
Freak hates your builds, Evan. Fight him.
Okay.
1v1 him.
No, it's fine. He's better than me.
There.
Hey, whatever. Well, here we go. Hoodstomp going to look for some damage right there. Nice CC goes into everybody. Great crescendo as well. This is the fight. Evan Orel barely staying alive, and he's going to go down. Nicely picked up there by Kha'Zix. Heaventime leaping away to disengage this fight. 1-for-1, both AD carries dead, but the re-engage now. Nami falls over. It's going to be the kill back on the supports. They're trading roles right here, but now Wolf's Claw in the wrong spot. Trades back on a Kha'Zix before he goes down, but now the 2-on-2 on the map. Pat and Chump John barely any health bars left. They dodge the Syndra stun. There's the engage back in by Pat. Can he take down LOD? Looks like not quite. He's going to rappel up. He's still going for it. Zonia's used. Pat's got to be careful. Cocoon's going to land. He gets the Q, and he does pick up the kill. Beautiful play there by Pat. +1 in the team fight, and the inhibitor goes back down.
And Chump John gets out alive.
Yeah, he does.
And he has teleport available, so if he was able to sneak out and Pat was able to stall it even longer, he just TP back in and help clean up. But the way that fight was staggered is actually staggering. It was ridiculous. The engage we saw there, we saw LOH get so low. We saw Evan Orel. He was the main focus there. They're going straight for him. We're going to see here the stun across 3. Crescendo on Evan Orel. We see the Mikhails come across. He's so low. But Chump John just dueling Hoodstomp the entire time and the turret. And we jump back here and we see, look at LOH solo, gets taken out by a bouncing bomb. Just barely.
Yeah.
And Chump John, sitting here, ends up getting the inhibitor for himself. While they were fighting. So they didn't have Chump John or Hoodstomp really in that fight. It was pretty much a one-on-one.
Yep.
And whoever wins that gets the spoils of that.
Both teams just hard dive the backline, and no one builds
this
from
one
either
is
case.
sneaky.
Well, it's going to be tricky. Teleport does come in for Haunter. He does have the home guard. Nice slow comes in from Sona. Looks like they won't really engage that fight, though. Haunter tanks the Spiderling, doesn't care too much. The engage for Chump John, he wants this battle. An amazing
LOD.
trophy. They've got to be careful. Nice Ziggs he puts damage down, but Chump John is very overextended. It's such a good choke point there. Crescendo lands on many. Pat stays alive, though, with the shields and the heals. Hoodstomp forced to disengage. Takes a lot of damage, though. 1 hit from dead, picked up by Pat. 1-for-0 so far. And now LoLPro, I think they're routed for this one, but no, they're going to keep trying anyway. Nice kill picked up there onto the Wolf's Claw. LOD is massive in this fight. Area of Effect forced away. A second trophy comes out for Haunter, and the re-engage for Heaventime. Evan Orel comes down. Double kill for Syndra. Now Pat forced away. Another kill picked up. LoLPro refused to say die. They might get their 4th kill as well. Chump John's got nowhere to go. The bubble's going to be nice, but out they go. Chump John is gonna be picked up. LOD get 3 kills in that fight.
Wow. So LoLPro come up big, but their base has 2 inhibitors down and super minions are knocking at their door. They're gonna leave LOD to try and deal with that, and they wanna go for either the Baron or that top inhibitor turret.
No, they're gonna try for the 3-man Baron. Only 1 person is alive, and I think this makes the most sense. It's the biggest gold swing you can get here. You just regroup and try to farm back in. Let's watch that fight again.
Look at the mini-map. Look at how far away LOD is. They're stalling. They're kiting backwards, and they're trying to just make it so they don't die. They're like, back up. Hanser, back up. Hoodstomp, get out of there. He ends up going down, but then here's where LOD shows up. Immediately comes in, blows up the Wolf's Claw. Then he comes around the side. He's taking some damage here, and EvanRL mispositions right here. Doesn't go around. It's because of the pillar and everybody trying to get through that tiny point that causes him to path to the right, and they immediately take advantage of it. And because they stalled long enough for LOD to make it from the base, he was in the base when that fight started.
Yeah.
And he's able to make it all the way up to that choke point, and they take out Chump John. So it looked like a good engage there for AoE, but because of the way that LoLPro played it with Trundle in that tiny quarter, and the fact that he subjugated a ton of stats from Chump John, got him very low, made it so that they were able to come out big on that. Chump John backed and TP'd back into the fight. He was so low that it was basically a 4-on-4 until it became a 4-on-5 when LOD showed up and Chump John was late.
Yeah, I mean, very impressive stuff though. The Pillars MVP, the damage output coming in from the guy who's been doing consistently the best there. LOD, the replacement for Nijaki there, moved from AD carry to the mid lane. First picked Syndra for him to deny a pick from the Wolf's Claw, and my god, is he showing up in this game. LOD is doing freaking awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of people converting from AD carry to mid laner. Slushi did it too.
Yeah. When
they brought on Maple Street for Team 8, and now here, and it's always, at least from what I've seen in the Challenger scene, it's always a good swap. It's always AD carry's like, I'm not synergizing with this bottom laner so well, put me mid, and then bam, come up huge.
Play long range switch of champions, do lots of damage late game. It's
a ton of CS too.
Roll wise, the best swap.
Yeah, 100 over a Ziggs.
He's playing phenomenal.
That's ridiculous.
Well, we're gonna see AoE though. They still feel like the aggressive team here. 2,000 gold lead despite the Baron buff, which does mean LoLPro's better combat stats. But if these guys can play around the dead inhibitor bottom, there's a chance that AoE get their way in on this match.
Yeah, most of this game AoE has had a gold advantage, but LoLPro,
they just find a way to fight.
Yeah, they just fight it correctly. There was about 1 or 2 fights in the early game that gave AoE that edge, and a couple objectives off of it. But LoLPro, you know, they're not pushing over. They're not falling over to anything.
You know what's cool? Outside of boots, every item that LOH has is inactive. He has to hit his entire inventory. I think it's interesting. I always like when that happens.
I hate that.
And you're already playing a champion with like 2-second cooldowns.
Yeah.
Like, that guy, like, LOH needs the highest APM in this game.
Oh my god.
To play his champion optimally.
QW, 1, 3.
Yeah, he's got a lot to do. Don't suck, LOH, I believe. So far they've been doing great, so not sad about it.
He's playing Sona. I'm sure he can play his keyboard too.
Yes. Nice. Oh, there we go. Looks like the Dragon will be going over. These objectives have been traded back and forth many times here. Both teams have gotten a Baron. Many Dragons have gone back and forth, but it's looking very good. AoE have been able to play around the Baron buff. The dead inhibitor allowed them to force LoLPro to stay in their base throughout the duration of the buff, even pick up global gold when that happened, and keep themselves in a really good spot with gold. What's cool about this, actually, is that Dragon is, like, a late-game Dragon is worth 40 less gold per person than Baron. It's barely a difference.
It's very, very close. At that point, Dragon's a lot easier to get to.
Yeah.
Much less risk. Now the inhibitor's respawning here. Pressure is relieved, but there's still tension in this game. Next team fight will most likely decide the entire game off of it because of respawn timers. And the moves that these two teams make, and the vision control, and the fact that you don't have the inventory space to buy vision is crucial, because LoLPro has a little bit better pick potential here. Kha'Zix's Syndra. We're gonna have to see how it plays out. The shot callers, you know, everybody's in a very good spot right now. Everybody's very comfortable. Nobody feels like they're incredibly behind, because it's anybody's game right now.
Yeah, so now it's going to be the point of how quickly can your Banshees be able to get up. You got the makings of it here for EvanRL, the makings of it here for Elements. It's already been picked up for the jungler.
Yeah. Hanser, Heaven Time are on their way to it too.
See what else they can grab there. Nice wave here again from Ziggs. Chump John's actually going for last item offensive. I'm thinking Tiamat. That's my likely pickaxe guess here. Ma wouldn't be horrible either, but I'm guessing it's more Hydra.
Yeah, if you're going Ma, you'd get the Hex Drinker first.
I would imagine, yeah. I don't think you buy the 900 gold piece and then wait for another 3k. That would be weird.
It synergizes really well with Shyvana's kit in Dragon form too, because you can Tiamat off of the AoE from your W or your Q.
You get a lot of damage out of it.
Yeah.
No, it's actually Zephyr.
What?
It's
okay.
Zephyr
Okay,
pickup.
I actually like that. So it reduces the duration of the Crescendo, which is going to be the biggest thing that locks him up, as well as the Scatter of the Weak.
Yeah, lower CC, and move speed's a stat that really Syndra scales off of. Like, it's pretty important for her to stick to her target. Bonus move speed, lower cooldowns on the W as well. So, all right, that's the Zephyr grab. I don't think I've actually ever seen Zephyr or Shyvana, but
I have before in solo queue, but that doesn't count because I've seen Omewreckers in solo queue too.
Hey, we've seen Omewreckers in LCS.
Yeah, usually EU.
Yeah, usually it's Darien.
Yeah. Sometimes though, sometimes it's a serious buy, and they're just tanking the turret.
It's actually, I think it was late last split. CLG Aframu picked up the a Banner of Command. And I didn't get to ask him during the interview, but I asked him off camera, and he's like, "No, it was a serious buy."
Yeah, no,
because we were having a problem closing the game out, and we were just going to use the promote to push a lane while we pushed elsewhere. It was guaranteed pressure.
I love Banner of Command.
It's super good.
Personally, that's actually my favorite item in the entire game.
Wow.
I just never get to buy it because I'm never playing a support.
I mean,
you can buy it mid laner too.
So take a note from me with Trinity Force. Just buy it regardless. And make a bunch of videos about it.
I play Kha'Zix as a jungler with Banner of Command. Go in a lane, take the CS, and then
tons of minions.
Promote a minion.
Tons of minions. Just that could be your tagline. Come on, Tyree.
No. I don't want mine to be similar to yours. Just differentiated eventually.
Minions.
No.
Banner of Command. It's so easy. They're so different.
All right.
Minions. All right. Well, the dive on into the mid lane, though, AoE holds the movement advantage here. They're going to get the inhibitor at the very least. They're going to get collapsed on, though, as well. This is going to be a rather important fight. Wolfsclaw disengaging. The culling does remove one Banshee's Veil. They now go for the bottom inhibitor. These guys have to engage soon, or it's going to be another dead inhib. Two-man stun comes in, and here goes LoLPro. Can they find the fight? Heaven Time. Chunk dangerously low, gets hit up by the Ziggs ulti as well. Chumpjohn forced away. Hoodstomp taking a bunch of CC forced out of that one as well. Pat goes for the repel, but he doesn't have anywhere to retreat to. He's going to go towards the top side. Evan RL will be able to run away. The flash stun hits Evan RL. There's the ulti as well. He's going to stay alive thanks to the MR buff there. Stun on LOH. Good damage comes through. Pat goes in. It's going to be the disengage there as well from Ziggs. Hotzer now in the front looking for more CC. Pat flashes the wall. He's going to stay safe. Looks like 0 for 0.
And nobody dies.
Nope.
Just the inhibitor in the mid lane. Because these teams are just so evenly matched. We're in for a great set, regardless, Freak.
Yeah. It's going to be a whole bunch of very close, long games. We'll see who can pull it out in the end. And man, we said it was down to who can shot call better.
Yeah.
How do you play in a close game? How do you play in a tense game? This is pretty tense.
Yeah, they're going straight for the Baron. They have super minions going down that mid lane. Chumpjohn, he's going to try to apply pressure. He has the Zephyr.
Oh my gosh.
So quickly.
He's going for the next. This is a timer for LoLPro. Hanser is going to teleport or at least recall back. I think that's a TP. He is. He's trying to hold the base right there on the 1v1. Baron does go to LoLPro. Heaven Time! He whipped the jump. He has to ulti to try to get away. The stun won't land into Elements because he had a Banshee's Veil. The slow comes in. The bubble comes in. Ziggs trying to help as well. Heaven Time forced a flash on top of that one. It's the super minion helping take down the inhibitor. That will be Ju Inhib's dead versus the Baron pickup, though. And there's low health bars. Hood Stomp. Heaven Time trying to run away. And AoE, can they push in with supers here? Can they close the game out?
Well, here's the thing, is that they're up against a temporary combat stat buffed LoLPro. They do have 2 inhibitors, and if they back off now, they allow LoLPro to farm and catch them in gold.
Yeah.
That looks like that's going to be the call right now.
Well, here's the weird thing about catching in gold, though. The only guy left to really buy items is LOH, who's not going to be very good at last-hitting minions. Like, Hoodstomp's not going to use more gold. 19k, 21k in the mid laner. Like, there's no items to buy for these guys anymore. So
I think Heaven Time and Hanser have like 1 more.
Yeah, like Heaven Time's got like 1 slot left. Like, LOH can upgrade his sight stone. Actually, he's done that already. You actually might just keep the slot for wards regardless. So there's very little growth left.
Pick coming out here from AoE. They want to stand in this bush and see what they can get. Are they going to get Hanser, though?
Oh, no. Hanser's in the wrong spot. A lot of CC up in the air. There comes Chumpjohn. The flash as well. Hanser gets a heal, but he's staying alive until now. He goes down.
And that's going to be 2 super minion waves coming in. But at the same time, that's going to allow them to push top because it is a 70-second death timer.
And they're going to go for inhibitor number 3 with that one. 60 seconds to go. And it's going to be Chunk John pushing that minion wave down. Pat, just for good measure, kills the white camp. Just in case they don't end it off this push, they're going to at least have a little bit more golden XP. But here comes the group. This is the turret. Can LoLPro hold this? Keep in mind, mid and bot lane will be pushing in soon. 45 seconds. It's going to be one Banshee's Veil broken apart. They're trying to poke to remove more. Traps coming down for the Caitlyn. 35 seconds. Still a 5 versus 4. Heaven Time loses the Banshee's Veil. Pokes coming in. Here's the first minion wave. Can they go in for this one? Looks like they're too gun shy to actually push in for the turret. 0 damage comes through on that wave. 25 seconds. They've got 1 wave left.
There's so much range on the scatter the weak combo here that Evan RL needs to be very safe. He does have, look at that, ball just goes very close to me. Now he doesn't have his Banshees.
Yeah, exactly. Banshees got broken. It's going to be the Lucian ulti as well to remove some of the minions here. Caitlyn ulti comes in, hits LOH. He doesn't care, but they go in for it now. Chump John holding minion aggro, holding the turret as well. 5 seconds in the respawn. Big damage comes out from Ziggs. There's the tidal wave. They're going to push in one more time for the turret, but Hanser's back alive. Turret goes down. Inhibitor maybe under fire. Heaven Time push on the wrong side of this fight. He's going to take Mikhail's trying to get away. Hanser now in the front line, and here comes the fight, but the AoE health bars are already low. They've got to be careful. Pat's got to be careful. Crescendo gets in. They're going to find a second kill. They're going to find a third kill. Triple kill still coming in for the Kazakhs. Evan Arel, he's going to be victim number 4, and everybody's going down. Only to Wolf's Claw alive. This is going to give time for LoLPro to hold their base.
So Dragon is up right now. They're going to start pushing this mid out, and LOD, he's trying his best to defend. At the same time, they lose one Nexus turret. Very, very minimal losses there for LoLPro and maximum for AoE.
Yeah, well, let's going to see what else these guys can grab, though, because there's 50 seconds for LoLPro to do whatever they want. 45 seconds on Heaven Time, but 30 on the rest of the respawns. Mid inhibitor likely to be theirs. Minions still coming in soon. The heals from LOH keeping them in a decent spot, and here comes Hanser and the rest of the crew. At least one inhib. What else can they do? The Wolf's Claw here to defend.
If they judge their damage correctly, they have this minion wave. This could be game right here. As soon as they get the 2 turrets down, AoE will be spawning.
Well, here we go. Turret number 1 going down right in the blink of an eye. 10 seconds on Nami. Turret number 2 going down. This could be the game. Crescendo on Wolf's Claw, but they don't care. They go for the Nexus. 55 minutes in, and LoLPro from base to base close out the game.
Wow, they lost that 5-on-4, and LoLPro comes up big.
Yeah.